Ho Solo's The Incredibles. Given all the buzz The Incredibles have been getting as of late, I thought it'd be interesting to explore the scaling of the verse and pit them against another iconic animated character in Po from Kung Fu Panda. If you enjoy power scaling and versus battle videos like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for weekly videos, and let me know in the comments what verses and battles you'd like to see covered. With that being said, let's get started. To quickly clarify the rules of engagement here, the Incredibles lineup is as follows: Mr. Incredible, Elastigirl, Dash, Violet, and Frozone, cause why not? Both the Incredibles and Po will be in their relative primes, and the battlefield is neutral. Before I even really get into this, I want to address the more popular metas for Incredible scaling I've seen floating around YouTube for a minute. In terms of attack potency, people often cite Hypershock and his town level quakes, which is then scaled to Mr. Incredible's strength. I see this argument made a ton, and I really never understood why. Comparing Hypershock and Mr. Incredible's NSA files, you'll see that Hypershock has a way higher mark and power type than Mr. Incredible does. Mr. Incredible has a higher threat level, sure, but that's likely by virtue of having more balanced stats, as Hypershock is seemingly a glass cannon. But we know definitively how their powers compare in isolation. The argument that Mr. Incredible would scale by virtue of beating a stronger Omnidroid than the one that beat Hypershock is equally flimsy, since 1. Mr. Incredible had to rely on the Omnidroid destroying itself to win, and 2. The Omnidroid's durability wouldn't necessarily scale to Hypershock's maximum potency. See, Hypershock uses seismic waves that are explicitly described as earthquake-like. This means that they, like earthquakes, would expand. The Omnidroids wouldn't even have to take the full brunt of a Richter 6 earthquake concentrated on this person. People have this default assumption that Hypershock is channeling an earthquake into his fist and striking with it or something, but this is just completely unproven and made up. The argument of Mr. Incredible scaling above every superhero in the verse in attack potency is incredibly weak too. See what I did there? It is substantiated by statements of him being quote-unquote the greatest hero, but being the greatest hero does not equate to scaling above every single ability in the verse in attack potency. There are even more people like Universal Man or Meta Man who also clear Mr. Incredible in power type. In terms of speed, people are still using generic laser timing feats in the big 2025 for some reason. Look, laser dodging in fiction is so ubiquitous that using it as the core basis for a speed meta is misguided. They are rarely, if ever, intended to function as feats of raw speed, and the speed of every generic laser blast is not always intended to be light speed. Take The Incredibles for example, where Jack Jack's goddamn babysitter Kari McKean, a non-superpowered regular 14-year-old, reacted to Jack Jack's laser point blank. Do you honestly, in your heart of hearts, truly believe that Kari McKean is intended to have light speed or relativistic reactions? Like, if say Syndrome security guards aim their guns at Kari McKean, you honestly think she'd be written to just casually dodge their gunfire? I mean, a goddamn raccoon could dodge these laser beams for crying out loud. Guns are not only relevant to the humans of the verse, but the supers as well. At no point are the Incredibles just able to weave through gunfire or treat it like nothing as relativistic to lightspeed characters should. If anything, we see the opposite. People cite the Omnidroid's laser cannon, but at no point is this portrayed as a particularly fast attack, and in fact, we can see its speed is relative to gunfire and tank missiles, which is high supersonic. This actually fits in way better with the consistency of the verse. We've seen various characters react to Helitrix's electricity attacks. Using a calc on Tesla guns, we know that stray bolts of electricity are Mach 1.6, with the main bolt being Mach 11.7. So this is a reasonable speed range for these characters to operate at, especially considering they can react to Dash, who actually has pretty underrated speed feats. For example, his classroom feat is often framed as him moving faster than an old camera can track, but the more impressive and understated aspect of the feat is Dash moving faster than everyone in the classroom can perceive, from the students to the teacher. Humans can perceive 13 millisecond time frames. In that same time frame, sound moves 4.6 meters. Given Dash's round trip across the classroom, this should easily be a supersonic feat. Furthermore, Edna Mode had to specifically design a suit that could, quote, withstand enormous friction without heating up or wearing out for Dash. This is notable because her super suits can withstand temperatures of over 1000 degrees as a baseline. This means that Edna did not think that the regular suits capable of resisting 1000 degrees could handle Dash's speed, so she had to tailor one specifically for Dash to do so. To put this into perspective, you would have to be moving at Mach 5 to produce 1500 degree temperatures. Note that this statistic was done with the most optimal conditions for the heating up to occur, meaning that outside of such a setting, it would require even faster speeds to come close to such high temperatures with speed alone. And as I said before, the Incredibles' reactions should all scale to these speeds. Building off of this, all of the Incredibles suits are described as virtually indestructible. As mentioned previously, not only can they resist high temperatures, but they can straight up no-sell minigun fire and multiple missiles, so they should all be pretty durable, with Mr. Incredible obviously being the tank of the team. His punches can ragdoll building-sized Omnidroids, and he could even catch and overpower one of its attacks, which would be building level as a minimum. I say at minimum because his very attack from the Omnidroid destroyed Violet's force field just prior, which is durable enough to no-sell a building-sized explosion. Now, Dash and Elastigirl are comparatively lacking in AP showings, but they aren't without scaling. Dash, for example, can hit hard enough to disable Screenslaver's goggles. For reference, not even face-taking giant Jack-Jack's descent was enough to do this. Jack-Jack at this size was so sturdy that he could destroy walls just by running. Elastigirl is capable of staggering Mr. Incredible himself with her strikes, so the scaling clearly is there. Lastly, for Frozone, while he does scale very similarly in speed to everyone else, his strength and durability feats are lacking. Even still, he more than makes up for it with his cryokinetic feats. His ice is durable enough to no-sell the fall of an airborne speeding monorail. He can redirect the charge of a building-sized drill with his ice constructs alone and turn a building-sized wave into slush instantly. So with all this being said, this of course begs the question if the combined efforts of the Incredibles and Frozone are enough to beat the Dragon Warrior. Well, not quite. To cover Poe, we should start with speed. As you will see, speed is the closest stat Poe has to the Incredibles, but even then he should be notably above in combat and movement speed. For starters, Mantis can move at blur speeds and is so fast that he perceives the world in slow motion. By virtue of beating not just him but the entire Furious 5 by his lonesome, Tai Long should scale notably above this. And Tai Long himself has his own impressive speed feats, like moving up the stairs to the Jade Palace at faster than eyesight speeds. So recall what I said about Dash's classroom feat and apply that to a much longer distance. Shifu can move at blur speeds in the same time frame, and early Poe is moving in intense slow motion. Tai Long would scale to and above this, and by the end of Kung Fu Panda 1, Poe would scale as well. In Kung Fu Panda 2, we see Poe get a speed feat of his own when he reacts to, catches, and redirects a cannonball. Cannonballs are generally supersonic, but to quell any skepticism, DreamWorks confirmed that these cannonballs are in fact Mach 2+. What makes this impressive is that we see Poe only make a move as the cannonball is in point blank distance, and we see him move visually relative to the cannonball itself as he reaches out to catch it and redirects it back to the ships. Poe casually dodges and redirects these cannonballs in rapid succession. In line with this feat progression between films, in the beginning of Kung Fu Panda 3, Poe runs fast enough to make a village's hand catch fire, which necessitates at least Mach 5 speeds. Come the end of the film, Poe is able to not just contend with Kai, but eventually just bully him. This being the same Kai who beat Master Oogway, with Oogway even admitting that it was not in his destiny to beat Kai. This is impressive because Oogway, as one of the top tiers of the verse, is fast enough to massively outspeed and statue Tai Long. To put this into perspective, even assuming Tai Long is slower than an arrow, this feat easily comes into the high hypersonic ranges. So yeah, Poe at his best should still be faster than any of the Incredibles, and that's the most competitive stat. In terms of raw power, it's not even close. Remember the building level feats I mentioned earlier? Well, that's about on par with Tigress's feat as a child. Naturally, the upper echelon of the verse are beyond clear of this tier. Kai's mere entrance into the mortal world spawned an explosion that created a massive crater. To put this in perspective, creating an 8-meter wide crater in solid rock with roughly a 1-meter depth is building level. And look at the scale of this crater Kai created just by arriving. Kai no-sold this level of power in spite of being at the epicenter of the explosion. When fighting Oogway, Kai split a mountain, requiring small town level force. Kai's clash with Oogway created a multi-city block-sized chi shockwave, which had the power to cleave through rocks on the outskirts, which comes out to town level. Po scales to and above Kai, especially with his dragon avatar where, as I said before, he just embarrasses him. His quantity of chi is so vast that Kai even absorbing it completely destroyed him. So all in all, Po should just be able to blitz through the Incredibles, one-shot them with either his raw stats and output or his hacks. I mean, the only win condition the Incredibles really have is through Frozone, but Po's Dragon Chi avatar should just resist that and protect him wholesale, to be honest. So yeah, Po should make easy work of the Incredibles and quite frankly should just steamroll the entire verse, to be honest. And obviously for Kung Fu Panda scalers out there, I didn't even get into the Paws of Destiny feats, which will make this even more of a mismatch because you have the Black Tortoise scaling, and then you could even go higher with the whole Wellspring meta. And if you want me to go deeper into that with like a more powerful opponent for Po, definitely let me know in the comments, because I definitely do feel like that doesn't get the just due it deserves on the power scaling community either. And let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more Incredibles battles as well. You know, obviously this was an unlucky matchup for them, but maybe they'll do better in the future, who knows. But until then, it's been easy, and yeah.